All right, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Ballin podcast. Yay! Let's go. We got some things to go over today. We're going to go over the NFL playoffs to see who we think is going to win. We're going to talk about coach firings. Now, quick warning about Damon Williams. This is going to get political very fucking quickly. And based on my assumption that some Grassi members will be watching this video, if you don't want me to rant about this and talk about the politics of this whole thing, skip to this time right here so you can listen to the real action. Now, for the people who do want to listen to this, here we go. Now, yesterday the news broke that Damon Williams was heading back to Washington. If you didn't know, he entered the transfer portal on the 6th and was originally planned to go to LSU before he ended up flipping his commitment due to legal reasons. So good on Washington for getting Damon Williams back on campus, but my rant's not going to be about them, it's going to be about LSU. So the reason why I'm about to go on a rant about LSU is because, to put it quite mildly, I don't think they did everything they could to secure Damon Williams. Now, this is where all the political shit is going to come in, so just another disclaimer. So if you don't know what's been going on in the country recently, we've had a lot of things happen recently, such as ICE killing a U.S. citizen, racial profiling being legal, and just a bunch of corrupt shit that has happened in the Trump administration. Now you may be wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, if you don't know, LSU's governor is a Republican, and recently he fired the previous LSU AD for being a Democrat, and meanwhile Washington is a blue state. So why does this all matter, you may ask? Well, to put it quite mildly, throw everything you learned about U.S. government back in your heyday out the fucking window with this. Because of the fact that the Trump administration has destroyed our government, why couldn't have LSU bribed Clarence Thomas and the rest of the Republicans on the Supreme Court in order to favor them in this case? In my opinion, they could have easily gotten Trump to get on this. If there's anything that Trump loves to do, it's shitting on Democrats, and he would have viewed this as a prime opportunity to do so. This is a failure on LSU because they did not maximize their resources in order to get Damon Williams into LSU. And also, this is a complete PR failure from them, not only because Damon Williams announced this during a funeral for one of Washington's student athletes. The QB they were hosting on a visit at that time, Sam Levin, found out while he was at a basketball game. Like, you can't make this shit up anymore. It's 2026. But to keep this short, because I don't want this to take forever, LSU not using the Supreme Court to their advantage is a failure. And if they finish 6-6 because they failed to get Sam Levitt and Damon Williams, that's on them. All right, hello. Quick editing update. Sam Levitt just committed to LSU. Like, why does Lane Kiffin get away with this shit, man? Oh, welcome to 2026, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, back to the video. Now we got the politics out of the way. Let's talk about who's going to win this week. So let's talk about the games now. So first, we have the first game of the day on Saturday, Panthers and Rams. And I could see either team winning this, to be quite honest. J.C. Horn was not in the first matchup the last time these two teams played each other. Both of these teams could not stop their run to save their fucking lives, especially when the Rams were in 4 wide or any spread offense or 12 personnel. I do wish that in this matchup, considering the fact that the Panthers struggle as a even front team, specifically on 4-man fronts, that they just continue to run the ball continuously, because last time, and I'm going to pull the stat up, Carolina had 35 minutes of possession, which helped explain why the Rams laid an egg in this game, right? Now, do I think the Rams are the better team? Yes. Do I think this game is more 50-50 than last time? Yes. And so ultimately, if the Panthers just stay stable and have time in possession, this game could go either way. So I don't know who's going to win this game, but it's probably going to be close.
I don't think the Panthers are going to win. I have the Rams winning, mainly because they're not going to be able to get pressure on Stafford unless you get it from the interior from Derek Brown. But off the edge, I doubt it. Now, I don't know a lot about Rams offensive tackles or how they look out there, but I have seen the Panthers edge room ain't that good. They don't get pressure enough. So if you can't pressure Stafford, you're not going to win the game. If you can't force him to get outside the pocket, if you just let him dice you up from inside the pocket, you're not winning that game. I understand that JC is back, and this is probably going to be a much closer game than last time. But personally, I'm going to take the Rams over the Panthers. And also defensively for the Rams, they're going to pressure Bryce. They're going to pressure Bryce Young a lot. And it's going to be Bryce Young pressuring Bryce Young. And the other thing is, if they cannot run the ball in the way as we saw last weekend where they could not run the ball on the Bucks, it's not going to be the same game. So yeah, I'm going to have to take the Rams, mainly because they win at the most important positions: quarterback, edge. They went at the run game, and yeah, that's really it for me.
Yeah, I love your optimism. I'm not as optimistic, and you can see I'm wearing like the Thomas Davis signed Panthers hat right now. So like, I'm a Panthers fan, and I don't have optimism myself. And it's just the Rams are such a good team. They're such a gritty team, and the Panthers are like so up and down this season. And it's also just very hard to beat a team twice. And it's really not like, you don't have to get into all these complex stats to see why it's hard to beat a team twice. It's pretty simple. When a team wins the first time, they say, okay, we did this in our game plan and this led us to win. But then the losing team's going to say, oh, they did this and we lost because they did this. So then the losing team's going to adjust their game plan, whereas the winning team's going to say, hey, we won by doing this. We can do this again. And so the team that lost the first game is always going to have a slight advantage over the other team because they have that ability to adjust, whereas the winning team might run the same game plan back and they might have to adjust on the fly.
Here's the thing, Carolina won't be, if I don't mind interrupting, Carolina won't be running the same game plan because J.C. Horn was not playing that game.
I do understand that on defense, but I think offensively they're going to be running a very similar game plan, and it did work very well the first time, but that's because the Panthers let a few things slip. They let some explosive plays break out. They let Rico Dowdle run on them. I don't see the Panthers pulling something off like that again. Also, something of note, the Panthers are the only team in the playoffs with a negative point differential. Not only are they negative, they're negative 70 on the season, which that's pretty bad. The next closest is the Steelers at positive 10. So the Panthers really don't deserve to be here. I'm very glad they are, but they don't deserve to be here. And I just don't see, I see a world where they do win. If a team like this was going to beat a Super Bowl contender like the Rams, it would be this season with how chaotic it is, but I just don't see it happening personally. But I do love your optimism.
I'm going to go with Rams, but I could see this being a one-score game. I do think, to your point, and I'll add on to this, Carolina is going to make adjustments defensively. Smith-Wade, the DV for the Panthers, consistently blew coverage assignments over and over and over again in that same game. When me and Yins were watching the Bucks and Panthers game for this episode, we repeatedly saw Smith-Wade fucking up constantly. And with J.C. Horn being in the game, they will consistently have less blown coverages, in my opinion. So it's definitely going to be a lot closer. But I still think the Rams are the better team. So I think we're going to see the Rams win very closely, but this is going to be a highly contested contest, especially in Carolina. All right, next on the table, we got Packers and Bears. And Packers and Bears will come down to, do the Bears actually decide to show up on offense for the whole game instead of the final 2 minutes? I mean, watching back at that Bears and Packers game, Jeff Hafley put on a masterclass, and the Bears couldn't do anything until the final 2 minutes. And there really isn't much else to that other than that. They did luck out into the 2 seed because the Eagles decided to fumble it for some reason, so fair play to Chicago. I don't know if their defense is ready enough. Like, I don't know if their defense is ready for this moment, especially considering the fact that they give up 42 to San Francisco, right? And watching that game, they just didn't have any talent. It was basically facing the 49ers defense, but just in Chicago form. Actually, I shouldn't say that because the 49ers do have guys, but back onto the point, Jordan Love is back, right? And in the first matchup, they didn't do anything on offense until Malik Willis got in the game, right? So this matchup's going to be close again, just because the Packers defense has been this good, considering the fact that Jeff Hafley is coaching his ass off right now and will probably get a head coaching job in January, which we will probably talk about in a future episode. I think Chicago is probably going to be way too hyped up for this matchup, and I think they want to win this desperately badly because I don't think they want a Cody Parkey moment again. And I think Chicago will probably end up winning this game.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Tommy Grossi. I'm sorry, Packers fans. I just don't think this is y'all's year. If it was week 2, I'd say, yeah, go all the way, go to the Super Bowl. It ain't week 2 anymore. It's week 19 of the NFL season. We're going to the playoffs. The Bears just look like the better team. They are a very offensively driven team, but the Packers have, especially recently, they've got beat up on defense, man. Losing Micah Parsons just stings. If they had Micah, I'd be willing to say it's a closer game. I just don't think they get very far. They don't have the pass rush they should. They got, who's the other guy on the other side of Micah Parsons?
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary, yeah. The thing with Rashawn Gary, he's been having an outstanding season, but it's because their other teams are so busy on double teaming Micah Parsons that they leave him open to just rush in, get a sack, get pressure. He's not going to be able to do that without Micah on the other side. He hasn't in the past few games. They did get rest in week 18. They started Clayton Tune, who they cut immediately after the game. I wonder why. Not like he got -7 passing yards. But they're rested up. They're as healthy as they could be on offense, but I just don't think they'll be able to outlast the Bears offense. I don't think their defense is going to hold up. I think the Bears are going to outscore them. It might be a higher scoring game because the Bears defense isn't really anything to brag about. But I do have the Packers winning by around 10, good bit. Or did I say the Bears winning by 10?
I'm going to have to agree with the both of you. I'm going to take the Bears as well. I know Jordan Love is coming back, correct?
Yes, he should be back.
So with Jordan Love back, gives you a better chance, obviously. Zach Tom's still questionable. You're not going to have Tucker Kraft, obviously. I just learned that Savion Williams is on the injury reserve, though I do know he's more of a gadget player. Main thing is we all know that the Bears secondary hasn't played up to what they should be, because if you go look at the numbers, they allow a lot of passing yards.
So the Bears allow 227 passing yards a game, which is 11 worse than the NFL. So it could be Dallas, but not the greatest.
Packers, if you want to win, you're going to have to win through the air. You're going to have to win with Love. You're going to have to win with your receivers. Issue is your receivers haven't been playing up to what they should be as well. Especially your first round pick in Matthew Golden. He hasn't even seen the end zone this year, which is unfortunate, but he hasn't produced. The thing, obviously, no Micah Parsons on defense, which changes everything. And for me, can they run the ball? Will they be able to run the ball? Can they stop the run? Can they stop the Bears' run? So Bears, to me, overall, is the better team outside of the secondary. I'm going to have to take the Bears because I feel like they're going to be able to run the ball. They have better weapons. They're equal. You can say they're equal, greater than at quarterback. And they have a healthier O-line. Yeah, give me the healthier team and give me the better coach team in the Bears.
I do think that Matt LaFleur is a good coach. I think the firing calls are a bit too exaggerated, but this has been a down year. But I don't think it's because of coaching. I just think it's because of injuries. So we'll leave it at that. Next, we have Bills and Jaguars. Now, Fancy, I'm going to let you talk for a majority of the segment because I know you desperately want to talk about this game. So fire away.
All right, first off, got the Jags Combine shirt on.
You fucking bandwagon.
About home, yeah, okay. I am a fan of three teams, for y'all that don't know.
Okay, now for this, we're going to play the Ravens clip now of you bitching about the fact that they missed the playoffs. So fire away.
Kick is snap. Kick is on its way. It is no way.
Yeah.
All right, you can continue.
Anyways, yeah. Now that's over. Yep. Panthers, Jags, Ravens. Notice got the Panthers on, got the Jags on. No Ravens because they're not in the playoffs. Oh man, and we'll talk about Harbaugh getting fired in a little bit. But yeah, I have three teams. Some people call me crazy. I just say it's three times the pain. But that's neither here nor there. Bills, Jaguars. This is going to be my pick for the best game of the entire weekend. I think it's such a good matchup. A few weeks ago, a lot of people had this as their AFC Championship matchup, so I think it stinks that this is our first round game, but I do think it's going to be a very good game. Jaguars, man, their run defense, it's one of the best in the league, one of the best of the entire 21st century. They haven't allowed a single 75-yard rusher all season and are the third team since 2000 to accomplish this, despite facing some really, really good backs, such as Rico Dowdle, CMC, Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor twice. And then on the offensive side, they've been really good as well. They've been on a heater, in large part thanks to Trevor Lawrence. My aunt actually ran into Tom Coughlin in the airport a few weeks ago, who was the Jaguars head coach for the first 7 years in the league. Mm-hmm. And they ended up just watching the Jags team together. He had nothing but praise for Trevor Lawrence, noting that ever since Trevor Lawrence started running, Tom said, this has been a completely different team. And the stats also back this up. Lawrence in his last 8 games, 19 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. And according to ESPN, he's one of 3 players in NFL history to hit these marks in an 8-game span. Who are the other two? Lamar Jackson, 2019 MVP season. Cam Newton, 2015 MVP season. He's doing pretty good. They also have an 1,100-yard rusher in Travis Etienne and a very deep wide receiver core led by Jacoby Myers with BTJ in there. He's having a down year. He's dropping the ball out, but he's still a deep threat. And they also have Parker Washington, who, if left alone, will completely tear up your defense. We saw that during the Broncos game. Broncos have top 10 defense in the NFL, arguably top 5, and Parker Washington ran for I think 140 or something yards on them. And Jacoby Myers, by the way, ever since the week after they got him, they have not lost a game since that week, since the trade deadline. It's been one of the most impressive one-year turnarounds I've ever seen in this league, and this is a darn good team. With that Jaguars glaze out of the way, man, I don't like this Bills matchup. The Bills are a good team. They're the best rushing team in the NFL. Their passing game leaves a little bit something to be desired, but it is still scary if you let Josh Allen cook. And man, they're such a tough team. I think they could go on a run in the playoffs if they win this game. I think they're experienced. I think this could potentially be their year. They wouldn't necessarily be my pick, but they'd be a threat for sure. Their heavy reliance on James Cook may come back to bite them if they don't make adjustments early on, just because of how good the Jaguars' rushing defense is. But they're still a threat. They have the number one pass defense in the league as well. So they should be able to shut down Jaguars' passing game pretty good. They do have the number 28 run defense, so they're really going to have to work on containing Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. They're 12th in points scored on offense. Whereas the Jags, number 12 pass offense, number 20 rushing offense. Not a super productive offense, but it's their defense that really carries them. They are 6th in points scored on offense, though. But they're second in interceptions in the entire league with 22, and they lead the league in defensive turnovers with 31. So expect a few turnovers on Sunday. Josh Allen's probably going to throw a pick or two. You might see a fumble here or there. It's going to be a pretty crazy game. I think it's going to come down to whether the Bills can stop Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence on the ground, take an early lead, and force the Jaguars to air at the ball. If they can't, I think the Jags are going to control time of possession, and the Bills are going to be forced to fight against the clock. With that being said, I'm going to take Jacksonville in this one, but it's really, really close. It's going to be by 3, and that might be due to the home field advantage.
This is going to be a fun matchup if you like the trenches. To be the best rushing offense against the best rushing defense. Now, the issue is for both teams is that, one, Jacksonville's middle to pack in rushing yards a game this season, and Buffalo's one of the worst rush defenses in the entire league. And I think they are the worst rushing defense in the entire playoffs.
They probably are, because they had a really shit first 15 weeks.
Yeah, they're 28th in the NFL.
Yep, they're 28th behind Chicago. So the other thing is, obviously, it's going to be a great quarterback matchup between Allen and Lawrence. Has been hot. He's been probably the hottest quarterback in these last few weeks. Allen has been great as well, though he has had his off days. I don't know who I'm going to take, honestly, because the strengths of both teams is also their opposite is their weakness. So for Buffalo, so it's going to come down to, if it doesn't come down to the run game, it's going to come down to, can your quarterbacks make plays? And you have two great playmakers. The issue is for both teams is that your best playmakers aren't consistent. Brian Thomas Jr. has had a huge sophomore slump, and you're not getting anything out of Keon Coleman for the Bills. Khalil Shakir's been great, but outside of Khalil Shakir, you have inconsistencies in terms of health and play from both your tight ends. And also you have a health worry. You have to worry about health for Brendan Strange. So it's going to come down to who can make plays. And I don't really know who that's going to be. If I were to have to pick a team, I'm going to go with the Bills simply because they've been here before. Even though we've been saying for years they can't stop the run, they still managed to do it in the playoffs, except for when it's the Chiefs. But we don't got to worry about them this year.
I don't think we have to hear Rashee Rice fucking headlines for the next month, so that's nice.
That's a whole
we heard one today.
Conversation.
We heard one today.
Conversation. If I have to pick a team, I'm going to take the Bills simply because they've been here before. But yeah, it's going to be probably a 3-point game. And if this game does go to overtime.
Let's just go over some of the things about Bills and Jaguars, right? With the Jaguars, since they acquired Jacoby Myers, they finally got someone who can catch the fucking ball, right? Because if you saw early in the year, Brian Thomas, who is still scared for his life by the fact that Trevor Lawrence was repeatedly putting him in dangerous situations over and over and over again, right? And that mental block has not been hurdled, right, between the quarterback and the wide receiver. And meanwhile, with the Bills, they actually decided to have a run defense for once, right? Against the Eagles, albeit the Eagles, who run inside zone 70% of the time, or whatever the fuck. I'm exaggerating that. Their offense is pass, inside zone, right? We all know this. They were able to stop the run. right? Now, do I have issues with the Bills' offense with them just having cold stretches throughout periods of time? Yes, consistently. When you shut down James Cook, the whole offense just fucking melts down. And they don't have a true number one to go to in situations where they're stuck, right? So as long as the Jaguars can have somebody other than Jacoby Myers catch the football, and they might not even need that to be honest, but if they can get someone to step up other than Jacoby Myers to catch the football, they're going to win this game. But if the Bills can figure out a way to have a secondary option on offense and maintain the run defense we saw against the Eagles when they lost, right, then the Bills can win this game, right? So I think right now, I have the Jaguars win this game, but it varies so much where I don't really know what's going to happen in this game. So we're going to find out on Saturday who's going to win this game, and more specifically, who's going to be able to do what they are able to do best. The 49ers and Eagles. Now, I would say the Eagles would probably win this game, but I don't know how their offense will do. So to me, this game is a toss-up because on one hand, the 49ers defense is pretty much non-existent. Besides D winners, Upton Stout, Lenore, and Jordan Elliott, they don't really have anybody else, right? I mean, we saw this against the Bears when they gave up 38 points. And obviously they were able to somehow manage to manage to hold Seattle to 13, right? But I don't know what I'm getting from this team week to week, right? Do I think they can hold Philly to under 20 points? Yes. Do I think the Eagles can hold the 49ers to 20 points? I don't know. And that scares me because this Philly team, for all intents and purposes, has not been coached well this season, and their talent has not shined. So this is going to be the first game where I'm very unconfident on my pick, but I do think Philly will find a way to win this game because I do think the 49ers defense is absolutely ass, but it's not going to be pretty. And I don't think I have them winning this conference because of what happened in the Bills game, So yeah, I'm not confident about either team going forward, but somebody has to win this game. So I'm going to give the Eagles the edge because they have the hometown advantage.
I think the Niners are going to win this. Mainly because I think Philly's just going to straight up coach themselves out of this game, especially lately. They look terrible lately. Whereas the Niners, outside of the Seattle game, they've been scoring on anyone at will. And, well, one, I don't like Philly, but I'll try to be as unbiased as possible. Defense is going to be an issue for the Niners. It really is. If AJ Brown and Hurts start connecting, it's gonna be a long night for your DB room. Especially if Devontae Smith as well gets hot. It's going to be an even longer night. The main issue for me is that can Saquon Barkley get anything? Now, you'd expect him to, given the defense that he's looking at, but we've expected that from when he was playing against the Bills. We ain't get nothing. He had, one touchdown in that game? It was a screen or something? I can't remember, but he didn't have a lot. He didn't really do a whole lot. Bad play calling, bad coaching in general. Whereas for the Niners, explosive offense. That's mainly why I'm taking them. It's going to be an explosive offense, especially against a weak DB room like the Eagles. Now, obviously, your corners, Gene and Mitchell, they're amazing. Blankenship's been good too. They still haven't looked the greatest when they need to. Maybe I'm talking out my ass, but I'm going to take the Niners simply because if this turns into a shootout, Philly ain't keeping up.
Yeah, it won't matter if the 49ers just can't stop the run to save their fucking lives. They'll still just pass on your ass all day. So I do agree with you on that, but I still think the Eagles win regardless.
Before I start, something of note, not for this game, but for future games, if they make it past the Eagles, Trent Williams and Fred Warner are both expected to be back if the Niners win for the second round. So that's definitely something to look out for. Fred Warner, of course, having him back would be huge, even though he might have to warm up a little bit. He won't be at his usual dominant self. But
Fred Warner coming back would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be really good. I believe he's supposed to be back for round 2. He might be back round 3. All I know is if they go on a run, they are most likely going to have him back. As far as this game goes, I don't trust the Eagles offense. They've just been so slow. They've been painful to watch. That Chargers game hurt me physically watching Jalen Hurts have 2 turnovers in one play. Literally lost 4 fantasy points in one play. How does someone do that? I don't even know. They're so slow. And the Niners defense is also not great, but I don't think they're quite as bad as people make them out to be. They have some middle of the road marks. They're definitely below average for a playoff team. But when you look at NFL averages, I don't know exactly where they are, but I believe their rush defense is around average. I think their secondary's a little below average, but not too far down into the 20s. So I don't think they're quite as bad on defense as a lot of people make them out to be. They've also just lost a lot of pieces there, and I think a lot of that people just kind of get in their head that, oh, they lost some of their best defensive players, so their defense must suck, and don't really watch as much of the games. They do still have a terrible defense, not quite as bad as people make them out to be. I do like the Niners to win this game, but very close. I think this is going to be an ugly game. I'm sorry for Niners fans and Phillies fans. Y'all got to sit through this. I don't think it's going to be a very fun game. I'd love for them to prove me wrong, but this might be like a crapshoot.
Okay, the one thing I am going to say is that if Philly loses, I expect at least 10 riots by the end of the week. If they don't have 10 riots by the end of the week, I will be very disappointed if they lose. If they don't riot. So hopefully, if they do, they riot, because please, at least compensate us for that ugly shit show that's about to occur.
If Philly loses, we might find Kevin Patullo in a ditch by the end of the month.
They're gonna run it.
And no,
they're gonna run
Eagles
his ass
fans,
out of town.
the Ravens are not going to hire Kevin Patullo as their next head coach. Stop saying that.
I hope they do. Anyway, final game on Sunday. We have Chargers and we have Patriots. So let's talk about it. So, to put it quite plainly, I don't give a shit what the film says. I took a little bit of a look at the Texans and Chargers tape. This offensive line cannot block for shit to save their fucking life. Obviously, they lost Joe Alt. Obviously, they lost Slaughter. It's pretty much turned into Justin Herbert has to save this fucking team or else this team dies. To put it kindly. So, as a Patriots fan, yes, I am biased, but I also know that this Chargers team with Justin Herbert in the playoffs does not do well. And I'm not talking for historical reasons. I'm talking because of team reasons. Like, this dude is trying every single thing to fucking carry this team. And he, to put it quite mildly, needs to stop having to carry this team every single fucking week. So, I have the Patriots winning. I think this might be the easiest game to pick of the week, just because of the fact has been having to carry this team, right? And it is doable. But at what point does this whole ship fall apart because they can't do anything else, right? So, and fair, they almost beat a Texans team, which is the next game we're going to talk about, who somehow almost lost to them. But to be fair to the Texans, they did have penalties, which did cause those drives to progress into touchdowns. But still, I don't trust this Chargers team. I don't trust this Chargers team with their offensive line getting shit on every single fucking play. I just don't trust their offensive line in general. And I don't trust the team having Justin Herbert's back whatsoever. And hopefully Justin Herbert can actually get some help for once and not have to go through injuries and not have to get fucked over every single game in the playoffs or big moments. But I have the Patriots winning this game.
I also agree. There's not going to be a lot to talk about here. Give me the Patriots. Now, okay, maybe I lied. Patriots can't pass rush. Now,
That's
how
true.
much will that matter when you're going against third stringers on as an offense?
When you're facing 5 human turnstiles, not having a good pass rush doesn't really matter, to be honest.
The point. Yeah, that's really the main thing. They're not going to be able to protect Herbert. Even against a bad pass rush, they just won't be able to protect Herbert. And if you can't protect Herbert, guess what? The team falls apart. Now, I don't know much about the Patriots' run defense. They are decent, at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, top 10.
So, that O-line, good run defense. I'm sorry, Marion Hampton, but you're gonna have to do some stuff if you want to get some production.
Yeah, so I'm jumping in here. My apologies. They also can't run block to save their life either. So, yeah, they're also down bad at that as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the Chargers, they're too injured to win this game at the most important position, O-line. Without that, give me the Patriots all day. And Drake May is probably going to torch that defense.
Oh, I can't wait for them to throw coverage beaters all day at them.
Yeah, I actually disagree with y'all. I think the Chargers have a shot here. I mean, first off, Justin Herbert is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, but don't worry, Drake May is right behind him. Both teams have also, both have had struggles on the offensive line this season. But despite the Chargers having probably one of the worst offensive lines in football, they are still 18th in passing offense, just slightly below average. And they're 12th in rushing offense, despite missing their RB1 for the majority of the season. They've been running with Kamani Vidal, and they're still 12th in rushing offense, which I think is
hold on. Don't disrespect my king, Kamani Vidal. Come on, don't ever fucking disrespect.
No, I love Vidal.
Come on.
He was on my fantasy team this year. He won me a few games there. I like him, but let's be real. He's not O'Marion Hampton. O'Marion Hampton is just, another tier above Vidal.
Two different backs.
They are,
I mean,
but when you have them as your RB1 O'Marion Hamptons, who you would probably rather have.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you this question: who do you trust more, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, Mike Owenu, and Morgan Moses, or Jamari Slayer, Zion Johnson,
That's what I was
Bradley
about to
Bozeman,
say.
Mekhi Becton, and Trey Pipkins? Who do you trust more?
Hey, Bradley Bozeman might be one of the best Walmart checkout counter employees you have ever met once he retires. So I do trust the Patriots offensive line more, but I don't think it's just down to offensive line, because the Chargers also have one of the best defenses in the league. They're 5th in passing defense, they're 8th in rushing defense, they're 9th in points allowed. So top 10 defense in all 3 marks. And that defense has kept them in games even when Justin Herbert's gotten sacked like 5, 6, 7, 8 times. But Patriots are a tough round 1 matchup. A lot of people do like to dog on this Patriots team for playing frankly, a schedule easier than Ohio State. But they're still a very good team. Their defense is also one of the best in the league. They have one of I think they're top 10 in both offense and defense. They're a very well-balanced team. They're a very good team. And I do think it's worth taking into consideration their schedule, because they finished 1-2 against teams above 500, which is abysmal. But you can't discredit everything they've done because of a schedule that, unlike in college football, unlike Ohio State, the Patriots have no control over that, is the thing. People are like, oh, the Patriots got such an easy schedule. They don't control that. Like, why are we discrediting everything they've done? Why are we discrediting Drake May because of a schedule they can't control? So I think
it's not like they can't keep up. Like, we beat the Bills like once, and we almost beat them again. So it's like
they've had an easy schedule. It's not an end all be all. I do think it's going to be tougher for them to make it all the way this season. Yes. I think we might have to wait a year or two before it's their year to really make it to the Super Bowl and win. I think if they face the Bills, the Jaguars, even the Texans, I think they're going to struggle mightily. But for now, the Chargers are also going to be a challenge. I think a more beatable challenge than most other teams. Drake May is a top 2 MVP candidate. Mike Vrabel's one of the best, if not the best coach in the NFL. Look away, Titans fans. And they're just such a balanced team. I am going to pick the Patriots, but I disagree with you all that it's an easy pick. I think it could be a very close game, especially if the Chargers play good football. If Herbert can pull them away early, I think their defense can stop the Patriots from scoring and potentially just ice the game based off defense alone. All they need to take is like a 10-point lead, and their defense might be able to carry them the rest of the way.
Do you think this is the easiest game to pick of the week, or do you have a different game?
I do not. I think the easiest game to pick is, unfortunately.
Finally, we have the Monday night game, Texans and Steelers. Now this game is going to get ugly real quick. I don't expect more than 17 points to be scored by either team in this game. For the Texans to win, they just don't need to fuck up. They have the best defense in the NFL, and put it quite mildly, it doesn't matter if CJ Stroud throws 4 picks. It probably won't matter if they have 3 fumbles, because this Steelers team is not getting past this Texans team on offense. I'm sorry. They're just not. Like, I get they could be cover 2, but it's the Ravens, right? Like, the Ravens defense is significantly different compared to the Texans defense. So, look, as long as the Texans don't royally fuck up, I easily expect them to win this game. And I probably should have said this is the easiest game to pick of the week, because, to put it quite mildly, the Steelers need prime Aaron Rodgers in this game. They need TJ Watt to have a legacy game, and they need Cam Hayward to have one more big game before he retires. Because those two on defense have been carrying the Steelers defense the whole entire season. So, maybe you ride Mike Tomlin off to the sunset with this one. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't see how the Steelers will win this game unless they pull something out of their ass. Which, to be fair, they have consistently done, but I just don't see how they win this game. I don't, because the Texans defense is way too good. They're probably going to face Denver, and that's going to be a bloodbath in itself, which we'll talk about next week, because I'm confident the Texans will win. Or they might not even be playing Denver at all, because Jacksonville or Patriots fuck up. Who knows? But I don't expect the Steelers to last beyond this round. I just don't have any confidence in them whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you in terms of who's winning. The way that they win is probably different for me. These are 2 inconsistent offenses, as we saw last weekend. What in the hell was that game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers? I said, all right, yeah. Whoever scores 17 points is probably going to win this game. And then guess what? Both teams score 17 points. And I'm just like, oh, it's going to turn into one of those fourth quarters. And it turned into one of those fourth quarters.
Let's just blow cover two.
Why are y'all
times.
like this?
Let's have
Every
our whole entire defense go to the
time.
opposite side of the field. Let's have our corner just completely fuck up and then slap and give up a wide open touchdown. Let's have our field goal kick. Let's have the Steelers miss an extra point. Let's have the Ravens miss a field goal with a few seconds to go to give them pain. And yes, Fancy, I am panning the camera directly at you on this video when this comes out on Friday. So it's like, hey, classic Steelers and Ravens. What else are you supposed to say? But yeah, you continue.
Yeah, so it's too great. Well, can we consider the Steelers defense great again? Or
I mean, if it's TJ Watt and Cam Hayward carrying him every single week, then maybe. But yeah, no.
Yeah, but TJ's still hurt. That's the issue.
He's still hurt, but would you rather have him out there or not?
Obviously, I would. Now, I am actually surprised by how well Jack Sawyer has played this year. I didn't expect this out of him, and people are going to be like, oh, but did you not see him in college? College production doesn't always show up in the NFL, but it did for him, which is going to be extremely needed for them. Now, the issue for an inconsistent offense like the Steelers is the Texans. They are not inconsistent on defense, or I'd like to say that, but as we all know, Riley Leonard put 30 on them. And if that says anything, any given Sunday, or in this case, any given Monday. But for me, it's not going to be any given Monday. It's going to be the Texans. As long as they can put some sort of points on the board, they have the playmakers obviously on the offense, and Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Christian Kirk. You have CJ Stroud as your quarterback, even though he hasn't played to what you wanted him to do. But he's still CJ Stroud at the end of the day. So for me, I'm going to take the Texans. They're going to score maybe 20 points, and they're going to hold the Steelers to at most 10, ideally. But we can never count the Steelers out.
I mean, if they could beat cover two with seams like 5 times, then maybe, but who knows?
First off, do not disrespect Duke legend Riley Leonard ever again.
I
didn't disrespect him. I'm just saying. Of all people this season to dice the Texas defense, Riley Leonard was not on the list. He wasn't supposed to be on the list.
They were playing their backups.
Riley Leonard is a good coach. I take Riley Leonard over Patrick Mahomes. I take him over Josh Allen. I take him over Drake May.
See, now
Riley Leonard. That's his new
nickname. Cut the
nickname.
fucking film. Cut the bullshit. No.
Okay.
We all know for a fact the Colts weren't even supposed to have Phillip Rivers playing this season. We didn't even think he'd be off the damn couch, yet here he was. And then Riley Leonard, not going to be on my list. I'm sorry.
He did play kind of well. I like him as at least high-end backup after that game, which ain't bad for his draft position. I think he was drafted pretty low down, like 6th or 7th round.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
if he's a high-end backup, you get good value out of him. Anyways, back to the discussion. Texans, man, they have had a heck of a turnaround this season. Like, if you consider where they started, if you told me 2.5 months ago that this Texans team was going to be 12-5 and potential dark horse Super Bowl contenders, I would have kicked you out of the house, made you sleep in the shed. Like, this is not a team that people thought was going to get to where they are. And it's thanks in large part to their defense. It's just their defense has really played some ball. And their offense hasn't been as bad as a lot of people think either. They're 14th in passing yards. They're 13th in points scored. Run game hasn't really gotten off the ground, but CJ Stroud has done enough to keep them in games. So offense isn't too terrible. They have like a league average offense, below average for playoffs, but still enough to carry them in games where their defense can really lead the way. Their main strength is absolute 6th in pass defense, 4th in run defense, 2nd in points allowed. That's insane. They might have the best defense in the NFL, potentially one of the best this decade. If you want to argue 21st century, sure. I don't know the numbers on all that, but I think there's an argument to be had. Meanwhile, this Steelers team, they exist. Between passing offense, rushing offense, pass defense, rushing defense, only one ranks above average, which is their run defense at 13th. So like just barely above average at that. And the Texans don't really run the ball anyway, so I don't think it's really going to make much of a difference. But I don't know. I think this is going to be a Texans win for me, despite the Steelers hosting them the warm weather Texans in a below freezing outdoor stadium, it's going to be an ugly game, I think. Historically, games like this have been favored by whoever can run the ball better, but neither team is impressive in the run game this year. I just think the Texans defense is going to overwhelm the Steelers at home. I do think the Steelers have a shot if they can get after CJ Stroud and potentially force a few turnovers, but I would be foolish not to pick the Texans here.
Okay, so we all agreed that the Texans are going to win this game because they're clearly the better team. And two things before we wrap up the show, because I'm probably going to edit this all tomorrow. One, for some reason, Bulls and Heat's game ended up getting delayed. Condensation on the court. So
Still delayed?
are they still playing right now, or no, they not? Nope, just straight up delayed. So, Bam Adebayo, enjoy more time with Asia Wilson. And second, now I'm going to give the mantle, because earlier I recorded the, the firings for the other coaches. So, Fancy, I'm going to let you go on a 10-minute rant about who the Ravens should hire as their next coach. So, fire away. But before we talk about the Ravens and that whole situation, let's talk about the rest of the coaches. So, past me, take it away. First, we're going to have a reaction from a Ravens fan.
It's the best day of my life. Everything good happens in the shower. Lamar was signed in the shower. Monken was hired in the shower. Roman was fired in the shower. This is the greatest shower ever. I love this shower. I hate John Harbaugh. This is the best day. No one can ruin my perfect day.
Now, there's 7 other coach openings outside of the Ravens. We have Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Las Vegas, the Giants, the Titans, and also the Dolphins as well. Now, as the new coaches get announced, we'll talk more in depth of what's going to happen with the organization, but I'm just going to give some quick thoughts on each opening besides the Ravens. So if Arizona, it's just going to be a total rebuild like the last time they hired a head coach. I don't expect Arizona to be that good, to be honest. I mean, they're the Cardinals. What the fuck do you expect? Next we have Atlanta, and it's going to probably be some coach that's going to help Michael Penix's development and how Penix can be developed under the next head coach. Next we have Cleveland, and it's pretty much the same thing with Arizona. They're both just fucked. Next we have Las Vegas, and I guess the number one priority I would say for Las Vegas is actually hire an offensive line coach that won't just let the players coach themselves. Next we have Miami, and I have no idea what direction they want to go in. Next we have the Giants, and the primary focus will be Jackson Dart's development in this case. And you can say the same thing for the Titans, but this time for Cam Ward. I mentioned in one of my shorts recently, I could see a lot of coaches such as Cliff Kingsbury, Robert Saleh, just a bunch of different coaches, Jesse Minter. Once these teams fill their coaching voids, we will talk about that on the podcast weekly. Now, with that being said, back to you, Fancy.
First off, Ravens fire Harbaugh. Shocker. Actually, you know what? 1 sec. We're getting the Ravens beanie on for this.
This fucking bandwagon, man. I get fucking kindergarten. But like,
Hey, I have 3 times the pain as you. I have 3 times the pain as you. I don't want to hear it.
Don't. I'm a damn Cowboys fan. You don't have that much pain compared to me. What you mean? I ain't never even seen
Panthers and Jaguars carry it. Panthers and Jaguars always stink. Ravens always
have 2 Super
lose in those
Bowls
heartbreaking ways.
and a Super
We
Bowl
do.
appearance.
Y'all have more Super Bowls
You
than
have
us.
2 Super Bowls. I ain't
And that
never
was Jerry Jones. Who wouldn't want Jerry Jones?
Stop.
Harbaugh fired. A lot of people didn't expect it. A lot of people did. I kind of thought in the back of my mind I wanted him fired, but I thought in the back of my mind they weren't going to do it. But Bisciotti does come in clutch, gets Harbaugh out of there, and a lot of the league immediately asked why. Why did the Ravens fire Harbaugh? And that was a lot of people didn't think he was going to be fired. His agent got 7 calls within 45 minutes of him getting fired from teams interested in hiring him, which, here's the kicker, only 6 head coach openings were open at the time. So 1 team with a head coach called Harbaugh's agent, probably Miami. They just fired Mike McDaniels today. So that's my guess. Could have been the Buccaneers. I think it was Miami. But
It was Miami.
he's a very hot commodity on the coaching market. So why did the Ravens fire Harbaugh is the question. And it's just because he hasn't done enough. He is a very good head coach. He has the most wins in Ravens history. He's only the 3rd head coach in Ravens history, longest tenured by a good shot. Probably the greatest coach in Ravens history. I mean, definitely. I think he has had a Hall of Fame career as a coach, which has been echoed by a few other people, but it's just been in these past few seasons, especially in Baltimore, he has gotten very close, but not gotten there enough. And the Ravens feel like the Steelers, but the next tier up to me. The Steelers always go 9-8, 10-7, lose in the wild card round of the playoffs. The Ravens are the next year up. They'll have a very good regular season, but they just can't get past the divisional round or the championship game in the playoffs. And I think a lot of that comes down to coaching. You saw in the AFC Championship game in 2023, the Ravens had one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, despite not even have Derrick Henry yet. They didn't have Derrick Henry yet, and they're one of the best rushing teams in the NFL. And yet they had an 85 drop back percentage against the Chiefs, who had the 28th or something best run defense in the league. Like they have one of the worst run defense in the league, the worst in the playoffs by a far margin, and you drop back 85% of the time into shotgun. Like why? And then the Bills game, also sloppy play calling, turnovers. That was last year in the playoffs. Yeah, Mark Andrews dropped the ball at the very last minute, but you shouldn't have been in that position. Then this year, it comes down to coaching again. A lot of sloppy defense, a lot of sloppy offensive play calling. The offense was really good to start the year, and then the defense sucked. When Lamar was out for 2 games, you had those like get right weeks there, and then as soon as Lamar came back after the bye week, the offense sucked and the defense was playing better. So you just couldn't have both good at the same time, and it just he's been there too long. I think I have nothing but respect for him. He's done so many great things for this organization. He's brought us a Super Bowl. He brought us the best record in franchise history when we went 14-2. He's done so much for this franchise, but I just think it was time to move on. And I do think he'll find success on another team. I think he'll get hired to a pretty big salary. And of course, there's at least 7 teams interested in him, probably more. And that's all for head coaching jobs, by the way. There's no one like Mike McDaniels got fired. Some teams are looking him for offensive coordinator. No, John Harbaugh is a special teams guy. You think teams are going to call looking for him to be their special teams coordinator? No. He got 7 calls interested in him being a head coach.
Except the Chargers.
45 minutes after he got hired. Yeah, except the Chargers. That's why he had to be let go. It sucks because as much as I wanted him gone, he's done so much for us. I love him as a coach and as a person. He's a great guy. He always brings so much energy into the locker room and into like press reports. Even he brings energy, and there's been a lot of like rumors spread around that have been proven false. Lamar never had an issue with Harbaugh or Monken. It was just Harbaugh's time to go, and this is something that Todd Monken did confirm today. He seems like he's at the door. He confirmed that today as well. He went on an interview somewhere and he said he's thankful for the 3 years he's been in Baltimore. He said if he could do it differently, he would have coached Lamar better. He said he's appreciated all 3 years here, and he's going to wish the Ravens luck in the future. So it seems like he's leaving the team willingly before he gets fired by whoever the Ravens bring in as a head coach, which I think is a smart move by him. We'll see where he ends up. He's gotten some interview requests for head coach. He might get another coordinator position. There's a few teams looking for that. Buccaneers, Lions, to name a few. He might go back to college. I know Dante mentioned earlier in our group chat, so we'll see what happens with him. As far as who the Ravens are going to hire, I have a few names I have in mind and a few names I don't have in mind. I personally want a defensive-minded head coach for the Ravens, just because I think we should let Lamar speak for himself on the offense. I think get a good coordinator, let Lamar kind of run things, and I think your offense is set. I think this defense needs a full-on rebuild, full reset. They just haven't been at regular Baltimore levels recently. So with that in mind, I have 3 guys in mind on the defensive side: Jesse Minter, Robert Saleh, Jeff Hafley. Jesse Minter is my favorite choice out of those because he did used to be on the Ravens himself. From 2017 to 2020, he spent 4 seasons as the Ravens DB coach. He was excellent DB coach here. In 2019, I believe, the Ravens had 6 defensive touchdowns, 5 of which were by defensive backs. He was an excellent coach. He helped develop a lot of players. He helped develop Marlon Humphrey. Earl Thomas when he was in Baltimore. Marcus Peters, he did really well as their DB coach. And of course, because of that, he got hired to other jobs and he worked his way up to defensive coordinator for the Chargers, where, like we said earlier, the Chargers are a top 10 defense in all aspects this year. So very, very good coordinator there. I think the Ravens fit is there. I think there's connections with Harbaugh, which I still think is important, even though he's not on the team anymore. I think that the Ravens will value someone that has had experience under Harbaugh, especially in those 2017 to 2020 years where Harbaugh was more in his prime than recently. I mean, that 2019 season, he was coach of the year. So, like, he was great. Not even 5 years ago, he was one of the best coaches in the NFL. Robert Saleh, Jets former head coach, now spent a season as the 49ers DC. And a lot of people point at the Jets, say, oh, he didn't do good there because he didn't win with Aaron Rodgers. Oh, future first ballot Hall of Famer Aaron sucked that season. That's not his fault. Aaron Rodgers had less wins than Zach Wilson. I just think he was dealt such bad cards for the Jets. I don't think he could have done much else in that situation. I think he was destined to fail from the beginning. And then you look at what he's done with the Niners, and Niners defense isn't great this year. But like we mentioned earlier, they're not as bad as people think. And I think they would be a lot worse if they didn't have him there to kind of keep them together during these injuries. And of course, Niners fans love him. If you go on Tom Grossi's Discord server, every time his name is brought up, there's like 30 Niners fans that all collectively get in chat and say, no, hands off, he's ours. So he's clearly loved over there in San Francisco. And I think he would be a very good fit as a Ravens head coach because he does have experience, even though it is with the New Jersey Jets. He still has that experience there. And then I look at Jeff Hafley, not as high on him, but if for some reason can't get the other two and you still want to go defensive-minded head coach, I think he would be a solid pick. The Packers defense is very good. Micah Parsons has been great this season. Rashawn Gary's been great this season. I think he's a good fit too. Now there's someone that you're going to notice I left off this list that a lot of Baltimore fans want, and that is Brian Flores. And I'll tell you why. Brian Flores is probably who I've seen mock to the Ravens head coaching job the most this season, or the most since Harbaugh's been fired. And I don't know, call it a gut feeling. I'm not a fan of Brian Flores as a head coach. You had Ryan Fitzpatrick come out recently, and he was kind of like very, very clear on everything. He said that Brian Flores kind of was very friendly, very relatable at first during his time in Miami when Fitzpatrick was there. But he said that over time, as the season progressed, he kind of alienated his players. He burnt a few bridges. He wasn't a great guy in the locker room. And I don't like the sound of that. And I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick has any reason to not tell the truth in that scenario. I mean, this is Fitzmagic we're talking about. He's not like known as an untrustworthy guy. So I kind of trust what he's saying there. It does sound like there's some rumors behind the scenes in the Vikings that similar thing is happening, and that even if he doesn't get hired to a head coaching job, it sounds like he may have been out the door of the Vikings anyways, even to get another defensive coordinator job somewhere else. So I'm not liking a lot of the stuff I'm hearing behind the scenes. Call it a gut feeling. I'm not high on Brian Flores as a head coach. Now, you want to go offensive side of the ball, I think the Ravens could go in that direction as well. I'm looking at two guys there. Clint Kubiak from the Seahawks. He spent 1 year there, and the Seahawks have one of the best offenses in the NFL. After just one season of him being there, JSN's broken out this year. Sam Darnold has really revived. I mean, a lot of people were still questioning whether he truly revived his career in Minnesota. I think a lot of those people are silent now. He's back. Sam Darnold is a starting caliber quarterback, in large part thanks to great scheming by Clint Kubiak. And I also think that would be funny and a little bit of revenge for the Seahawks taking Mike McDonald from us after 2023 season. So take that, Seattle. We get your OC. Another guy I'm looking at is Mike McCarthy, which sounds weird to say at first. But this is a guy, I also heard Brett Coleman on Bootleg Football. He also likes this guy as a potential prospect, even though it's a little weird. Mike McCarthy, you have to remember, he wasn't fired from the Cowboys. He left himself after an expired contract. And I think he kind of saw a little bit of the writing on the wall as to where that was headed with Jerry Jones and with Micah Parsons and all that stuff. I think he just kind of wanted to get out of there in a sense. And I think he saw his expiring contract as an opportunity to kind of leave without really damaging his reputation as a coach too much. And he did lead the Cowboys to back-to-back 12-win seasons. He ran a modern offense. He ran a very successful offense with Dak Prescott being in the MVP conversation. 2 years ago in 2023 when Lamar won the MVP, Dak Prescott was like right behind him. A lot of people argue Dak should have won MVP that year. CeeDee Lamb has been very good. Mike McCarthy played a large role in developing CeeDee Lamb, and they've had like their running back struggles the past few years. Mike McCarthy still kind of always found a guy to kind of get in there, run the ball, and still have a successful rushing attack, despite not having those high-end talents that a lot of other teams have. And so I just think he wouldn't be a terrible pickup for the Ravens if they were to hire him as a head coach. And then another guy on the offensive side of the ball that for some reason I have seen Ravens fans want as their head coach. This is another guy I'm not high on, John Gruden. I don't think I have to explain why I don't want him as our head coach.
Please do not hire that man as your head coach ever again. That guy's a fucking fraud. Continue.
Yeah.
For some reason, Ravens fans want him. I don't get it. Here's the thing about John Gruden. If he couldn't get a college job, is he going to get an NFL head coach job? Like,
respectfully, keep your ass at fucking Barstool and keep making $1 million a year, Bear. Please.
Like, he's funny, but I don't think we need an entertainer as our head coach. I think entertainers should stay in the entertainment business. Anyways, that's my rant done. If y'all have any thoughts on this, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. I can definitely understand why you don't want Flores as your head coach, given his history in Miami. I haven't actually heard anything about him being a problem in the Vikings, but if you have, then I'll probably look into it, and I'm going to probably believe you. I do think he's a damn good defensive coordinator. His defense plays like a bunch of psychopaths. So I do 100% understand your other picks, and they make a whole bunch of sense. They're great picks. They're great coaches. And I do think the Ravens would benefit from having any of the three that you named defensively to become their new head coach. Now, one thing I do want to say is, not as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, what would you think about Mike McDaniel?
I would like that very much. I think he runs a very different offense in Miami than Baltimore runs, but I don't think an offensive shakeup would be a terrible thing. I think if Mike McDaniels will kind of hand the keys to Lamar and let Lamar do a lot of the, because you saw Lamar 2 years ago in the playoffs against the Steelers game. Kind of a funny story. His mom kind of yelled at him for like not running when there was a lane open, and he took that to heart. And that Steelers game, he tore them up. He ran every single time there was a lane. He looked electric out there. And then, of course, the Bills game happened. But Lamar, for that one game, looked incredible when he was running that offense. And I think if he is given the freedom to do that and not kind of told when to run, as he has been under Monken and Harbaugh, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, designed runs are always good for a team to have in the playbook. But I think a coordinator that can tell Harbaugh or can tell Lamar, hey, if there's a lane, you take it and go. I think that would be something beneficial for the Ravens. So if Mike McDaniels can let Lamar have that leeway, I think he runs an excellent scheme. I think he's worked with Tyreek. He's worked with Jalen Waddle. He worked with OBJ, and maybe he wants to bring OBJ back for one more year if he comes to the Ravens. I don't know. We'll see what happens there, but I think he would be a good pick.
So you may be wondering, why am I wearing my Carolina Panthers shirt, my Rob Ninkovich jersey, my Johnny Manziel jersey, and my Randall Cunningham jersey around my shoulders? Well, I'm trying to cosplay as Fancy for being such a big fucking bandwagon, so I'm going to wear all 4 jerseys at once because there is no rules on this show that you can do so. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching this. We really do appreciate this. If you want me to wear more stupid stuff at the end of episodes, just let me know down below. And yeah, we'll see you guys in episode 3 for next week. So peace. Hopefully I don't have to do this again for fuck's sake. I can take this shit off. I'm tired of being a fucking bandwagon, Jesus. Okay.
Oh my gosh, and you have, well, that's a whole different sport, so.
No, it was all the same sport. It was all the same sport.
No, he brought a pirate's hat out.
Are you fucking? I didn't get the. Oh my god, this fucking. Hold on, does he still have this shit on this fucking bandwagon? Hold on,
Yeah.
1 sec. Oh, he disappeared. Oh,
If you want to get that recording back up,
we're not doing. Okay, well,
Uh-huh.
maybe this goes at the end of the show. Yeah, thank you. Put something on. Let's put the same thing on for once, for fuck's sake. Thank God.